Free Toddler Parenting Tips Presentation, Unusual Tips to Effective Parenting. How to Deal with Behavior Problems in Children by Chris Thompson, author, parenting expert and certified NLP practitioner. In this free presentation below, you'll learn the only real reason your kids are not already well behaved. The way most parents talk to their kids, causing them to do exactly what you don't want. The crucial emotional bridge you must establish with your child before you try to change their behavior. The one word you are probably abusing, which triggers those awful temper tantrums. Parents, watch this free video lesson. Watch this free video for important tips on how you can best communicate with your child and deals with your toddler's behavior. 4 facts you must understand if you are ever going to effectively deal with the terrible twos or children behavior problems. Behavior is driven by emotion, not logic. This is fundamental to everything, including understanding toddler behavior. Behavior, for any person of any age, is determined by their emotional state. People act from their emotions, and they later justify their actions with logic. But small kids don't have the ability to use logic, so they act purely from emotion. Keep this in mind when dealing with behavior in toddlers. We tend to overuse the word no when we talk to our kids. This causes problems with toddler behavior. You remember the story of the boy who cried wolf, right? The little shepherd boy was bored while watching the sheep, so he decided to cry wolf and make the villagers come running. Before long, they stopped responding to his false cries. When a parent cries no at every little thing, kids stop listening. The parent's cries fade into the background. Behavior problems in children can stem from this caveat. I'll teach you multiple ways to get what you want without screaming no at your child, and it simply works better. If you want to have any chance at all of influencing your toddler's behavior, you must have rapport first. Rapport simply means having an emotional connection to another person. I'll show you how you can learn lots of ways to create this crucial emotional bridge before you deal with children behavior problems. Before we get to number 4, if you didn't do it already, make sure you sign up to get my free audio lesson teaching you 3 powerful language techniques you can use to inspire better behavior right now. Discover 3 language strategies you can use right now for better child behavior. Free audio lesson for visiting, $9.95 value. Just enter your first name and email below and the free audio lesson will be instantly emailed to you. You'll discover. Learn this simple way to improve your success rate at getting your kids to listen and do as you ask. Discover the biggest common language mistake parents make. This mistake is actually causing your kids to do the opposite of what you want. Find out what technique most parents use far too often, making it almost completely useless. When you fix this mistake, you're going to get much better results. You'll also receive a free subscription to my Parenting Tips newsletter, $47 value. The tips I send out are very different than anything you've seen. Thousands of parents have experienced the difference they make. Make sure you check your bulk, junk or spam folders. Sometimes emails get mistakenly filtered. Get the free audio lesson. 3 fast, easy and effective parenting techniques you can start using right now. We hate spam just as much as you. Language is a powerful tool and there are a bunch of tactics you need to learn to create the outcomes you want. Here's a specific tip: use positive language instead of negative language. This is explained in detail either in the free audio lesson above, and in the video presentation. Watch this free presentation with toddler parenting tips for the terrible twos and beyond. Toddler video. What our customers are saying. It's become integrated into my day-to-day. Dave provided an audio testimonial that I think does a wonderful job of describing exactly the type of problem that talking to toddlers solves. Dave speaks clearly about how he was looking for a toddler-specific program that he and his wife could use together, along with a specific experience of how talking to toddlers worked for him. If you catch yourself nodding in agreement with Dave's way of thinking, then you will love talking to toddlers. Dave Valentine, Winnipeg, Canada. Your guide is almost like a magic bullet. Chris, I recently purchased your Talking to Toddlers MP3 and it was fantastic. Literally, this is not an exaggeration, but the same day I first tried presuppositions and double binds, I saw a change in my relationship with my 2-year-old son. In the week following, whereas before our relationship largely consisted of dad the enforcer and toddler the oppressed, with lots of feelings of guilt and lots of tears respectively, we became closer, happier, and I really feel good about being a dad now. Especially since I have the tools for guiding my son, but at the same time honoring his inherent rights to dignity and self-determination. Magic bullet. I continue to work through your lessons and apply the tools they provide. Kelly Goyer, Saskatoon, Canada. Using the techniques and love them. Thank you for the toddler tips. I laughed in agreement as I read your most recent tip, which mentions Milton Erickson, whom I studied about as a psychology major in college, and hypnotic commands. I know these things work. I am using the techniques you have been emailing me and love them. They are working with my 3-year-old boy. I strongly believe in power of suggestion and I am familiar with NLP, just hadn't thought about it the way you presented it, and I will now be telling my son stories using this technique. I can't wait to hear all your other tips. Regina, Saskatoon, Canada. Here's a great article I wrote on using distraction to change child behavior. I explain many of the subtleties involved, which I think you'll enjoy. It's a great example of a situation where a great day can start to turn sour because one kid gets bored and starts bugging a sibling. This is one of those situations that often results in a parent yelling at the child to behave better, and somebody usually ends up in tears by the end of the ordeal. No fun. Here's another article I wrote that explains one important language technique you can use right now to influence the behavior of toddlers. I encourage all parents to read this. This material completely changes the way you look at parenting toddlers. Dealing with problem toddler behavior is one thing. But if you think longer term, you probably want your kids to have confidence, right? This article on raising self-confident children was immensely popular. I've also written another article called 3-year-old Behavior that has generated a huge number of comments from readers. It goes through many of the most common toddler parenting issues you are probably facing. By learning the tools that I teach, you'll start to learn how to solve these types of parenting problems easily, without thinking about it. Then you'll say to yourself, how cool. I can actually do this stuff. It feels good. Parents, this free video lesson will help you deal with the terrible twos and child behavior problems. More parenting articles I've written. Child punishment, what every parent needs to know. 5 tips for successful parenting. 3-year-old behavior tips for every parent. What exactly are the terrible twos? You have changed my boy and my life. Chris, I bought your audio course 2 weeks ago. Let me tell you that you are my hero. I have a boy who is nearly 3 and he was driving me crazy to the point where I thought I failed as a mum. I'm only on lesson 6 and my boy is changing in front of my eyes. Your strategies really work, and to my surprise when I test them on adults they work too. Thank you very much. You have changed my boy and my life on the whole. Doris, from Malta. If you're not already a subscriber of my free parenting tips newsletter, make sure to sign up below to get all of my unique parenting tips with a special emphasis on how to use language and smart thinking to overcome child behavior problems, and more. Free tips for parenting toddlers and the terrible twos. Discover the one word that causes tantrums. Learn how you're making your child do the opposite of what you ask. Understand this crucial step to getting your child to behave. This blog copyright 2013 Talking to Toddlers Privacy Policy. Added-tonal parenting tips, articles and advice. Chris Thompson on Google+. Powered by Mindanao Touch, Limited.